So IDA is the investment promotion and development agency of the Irish government. It is 72 years old this year. We've been attracting investors from abroad for over 7 decades, and I have been the CEO of IDA since 2014. I joined the IDA from another state agency, FurFos, where I was also CEO. FurFos was responsible for providing policy advice on enterprise, trade, science, technology and innovation to the government. I have been in the public sector for just over 20 years now. I also worked with Fáilte Ireland, the National Tourism Development Authority, prior to FurFos, and prior to that I worked in the hospitality and tourism sector. I studied management originally, and before going into the hospitality and tourism sector. I suppose attracting investment is a team sport. IDA tends to be out in front internationally marketing Ireland, but there are so many players in Ireland who help and assist us on a day-to-day basis in attracting investment. And Glandore is one of those players which has consistently helped us to attract and bed down investors here in Ireland, and IDA has an ongoing excellent relationship with Glandore in that regard. So Ireland has been hugely attractive at attracting inward investment. We have been able to attract some of the global brand names to Ireland, but often we attract those brand names when they are still small. When Apple came to Ireland in 1980, it wasn't the company that it is today. It was much lesser known at the time, and we have loads of examples of those companies that have come, set up and grown in Ireland as their overall global organisation has grown also. And that's hugely important from IDA's perspective. Obviously we still target those global brand names to come to Ireland, but more often than not we are targeting companies that are taking their first step actually internationally for the first time, maybe coming to Europe for the first time, and we want Ireland obviously to be the destination of choice. And how they land in Ireland and how they set up quickly, and that ability to be able to set up quickly and grow in Ireland, is hugely important. And obviously that's where Glandore comes in, because it provides those facilities in order to be able to do that. So obviously as companies think about coming to Ireland and landing in Ireland, if they don't know Ireland in particular, there are so many things that they need to get to know about. And part of IDA's role is to help them through that journey and handhold to some extent. And there are always those unexpected questions that maybe even we didn't think about what the answer is. But I suppose the role of IDA and the role of both the marketing executives overseas and the role of the project executives here in Ireland is to walk the companies through those day-to-day issues as they think about setting up. The other thing we do with those companies is that we introduce them to peers who have been on that journey, who can advise them, who maybe are a little ahead of them in the trajectory that they are on. And we find that very useful because, again, they're going to get the warts and all version of what is happening in Ireland. They're going to hear about who can help, which service providers, which locations are best to set up on. And that's invaluable for the companies as they think about where they're going to land in Ireland, who their first hire is going to be, who they're going to use for their supports. So the first advice we give to companies is to actually set up in Ireland, and Ireland is the best location because of our pro-enterprise policies, because of that ease of setting up in Ireland, the ability to stand up your business quickly, to scale up your business quickly. Talk to IDA, they will talk you through the process. We will introduce you to the service providers who can help you to progress quickly. This has been done before, it's been done many times. IDA deals with 1,600 companies on a daily basis, all of whom have been through this journey. So there's a huge amount of advice, and we can tell you what will help, and we can also tell you maybe some of the pitfalls that there may be there to make sure that you avoid those. So the pandemic has taught us so much. It has taught us so much about how we work, and it has heralded obviously a huge amount of change. I think what is clear is we're not going back to where we were. I think the structured week, the rigor of core hours, everybody being in the office all of the time, that's not a reality going forward, and that's what we're hearing from our clients. But nor is the future of the office being redundant a reality. We're also hearing from our client companies that they do want their teams back in the office some of the time, and they want that for reasons of innovation, for reasons of collaboration. It helps in onboarding new people. It helps in building team culture. There's a mental health aspect to this in terms of bringing people in and people socializing. So for all of those reasons, an office environment is still going to be needed. And my expectation is that we're going to land somewhere in the middle. And there may be obviously companies who decide to do more virtually and remotely, but there may also be companies, and we're already seeing some of this, who believe that actually the office-based model is the right way and it has many advantages. But for most, I think we're going to land somewhere in the middle. So obviously working virtually and remotely has its advantages, and we have all seen, I think, what can be achieved now through that virtual model. But there's also no substitute for those face-to-face meetings, that face-to-face engagement with colleagues in the office, and in our case, that face-to-face engagement with investors, because those physical engagements help to build trust, to build understanding, and one picks up on nuance. So I think in that regard, we see again probably a blended model going forward, and certainly the face-to-face engagement really important for the business we're in. It's a contact sport as well as being a team sport. IDA is out there marketing Ireland, but we have a whole team of people, both public and private sector, behind us who help us to do that. And a key part of that obviously is service providers who support the companies in Ireland, and companies like Glandor who provide services to the client companies that we bring in and who look after those client companies so well, hugely important to the business that we're in.